Kate Swoboda, also known as Kate Courageous, and I'm the creator of YourCourageousLife.com. And today's video is about how to silence the inner critic. Except it's not. Because silencing the inner critic is BS. Oh my gosh. You can't silence the inner critic. The best you can do is practice abuse with it until it goes into hiding and then it pops back out. I mean, let's be real. If silencing the inner critic was something people could actually do, you would have done it by now. You would have silenced it by telling it to shut up and go away. You would have silenced it by trying to kick its ass. You would have silenced it by drinking until it doesn't say anything anymore. It would have worked, but it doesn't. It's like one of those inflatable Bobo dolls that, like, you know, it's a Bobo doll is like this inflatable doll that has a weight on the bottom, and you hit it and it goes down and then it like pops right back up. Okay? You're never going to silence the critic. Furthermore, the more you try to silence the critic, the more you harm it. Your critic is not the enemy. Your critic is a wounded part of your life experience. Your critic is actually, and I got this from Matthew Marzell, my coach and teacher for many, many years. Your critic is your best friend with lousy communication skills. Now, I understand people have some internalized critics that say some pretty crappy things to them. And so you might be like I was the first time I heard this idea of it's my best friend with lousy communicate. What are you talking about, man? And when Matthew explained this to me, it was a brilliant moment because I had just told him very proudly about how my critic had been saying unkind things to me, and I told it to shut up. And he's like, ouch. And I'm like, what? Ouch? Well, yeah, ouch. Because it's unkind. Your critic is just looking out for you, and it has lousy communication skills. Your critic is trying to protect you. It is wounded. It has experienced wounding and is trying to protect you from further wounding. Does this mean we all say kumbaya, throw glitter in the air, and just go, oh, my little critic, it's fine. It's just trying to protect me from wounding. It's good. No, I'm not saying that. Your critic needs boundaries. Just like anybody who is speaking to you with disrespect needs some boundaries. So your critic is your best friend with lousy communication skills, but it's there, it's in your head. You're never going to silence it. So how about we teach it the better communication skills? So instead of trying to silence it, let's help it. Let's get out of the cycle of abuse, frankly, because if you are practicing abuse with your critic by screaming at it, yelling at it, telling it to go away, calling it names like monster or gremlin, you are just reinforcing abuse. You're being the abuser. You learned those behaviors from somewhere else. So how about some kindness, compassion, and boundaries? So here's what it sounds like in my own head when my critic is really going loud. First, I tend not to just try to exist in my head with my critic. If my critic is wounded, it probably needs some space to yell because it's angry or cry. So I try to tap into what am I actually feeling on a bodily level? And that's what I encourage for you. So before you try to do something where you silence, shift, change, whatever you want to call it, the critic, attend to the feelings. So what is it you're feeling and what is it that you need to actually express in an authentic way? So you feel those feelings. And then after having gotten out some of those feelings, that's when it's redo, please. Also a tool Matthew taught me. So my critic might say something like, you suck. You don't know what you're doing. How could you be so stupid? I have a practice of going, redo, please. I hear what it is you're trying to say, critic, but you got to speak to me with respect. Try again. Redo, please. So I'm open to hearing what the critic has to say, and I trust that it is some kind of information it's trying to get through to me to protect me from future wounding. My critic's not telling me that I suck just to tell me that I suck. It's telling me that because it doesn't want me to take some kind of risk where I might fail, feel embarrassed, experience rejection. I don't want that critic to limit my life. I also am not cool with the abuse. So, redo, please. I'm open to hearing what it is you have to say, critic, but it has to be phrased respectfully. So I will actually do that with myself internally in my head, or I'll sometimes put it out on paper. If I've really had trouble with it, I've found friends who know how to use this tool and asked them to dialogue with me. It's actually something that we teach all of our coaches in the Courageous Living Coach Certification, Team CLCC, how to do with clients. And it's a powerful practice for coaches to help their clients with, so that clients can come to sessions and go, I need some help with this inner critic thing. Got it. I'm here to help you with that inner critic thing. We need to get out of the cycle of telling our critics to shut up or go away, or trying to pretend that our critic isn't saying what it's saying. And when we get out of that cycle, then we also need to practice compassion and kindness with the critic rather than perpetuating abuse. And we need boundaries, because this is not about just going, oh, the critic's wounded, so it should just say whatever it wants to us and it's okay. It's like, no. I recognize that you are wounded. I'm also going to require that we dialogue with respect. Where do you end up when you do this work long enough and you get better and better at it? Well, here's where I've ended up. My critic isn't as angry, mean, upset anymore as it ever used to be. And when I do feel stimulated in that way, it's a lot easier to go, hold on a minute. Before this totally spirals out and I feel awful all day or for a week, let me have an intervention here where I just slow things down a little bit, tap into my body, try to figure out what it is my critic is really invested in protecting me from with those lousy communication skills, and then require that my critic speak to me with kindness and with respect before we proceed further. What I find is that when the critic is heard and understood, it doesn't need to yell so loudly. It doesn't need to put us down. That's, to me, the closest I'll ever come to silencing the critic. Not trying to make it go away, not trying to silence it in the traditional sense, but actually requiring a deeper and more nuanced relationship. And in that, I find that wound that even causes the critic to be how it is in the first place starts to heal. And I feel better in my day-to-day life all the time. And I wish that for you too.